faculty or staff on campus here that is kind of at the forefront of fighting for the Palestinian people and pushing back against the Zionist,
There's Rashid Khalidi, who has...
Rashid Khalidi?
He's, I believe he's in the political science department.
Okay.
And he is renowned for his pro-Palestinian stance, and he's Palestinian himself.
They said I should come talk to you.
They said you should come to talk to me?
Well, yeah, it was one representative because she, being staff here, she told me they're not really allowed to get involved or take a side because there's people on both sides that are coming in for support or whatever. But apparently there are, Jewish students that are complaining as well. But I don't.
Yeah, apparently. We have an anti-Semitism task force made up of some of the most extreme political people on campus. In fact, made up of the most extreme political people they could find. Anyway.
I really want to get involved more and kind of push back against this Zionistic culture that's being imposed upon this campus. And I just wanted to hear if you could give me any advice on that.
We have an anti-Semitism task force because everybody on the other side has howled their head off if somebody so much as looked sideways at them. And people who are being treated much worse have been hesitant to go to these people because they know they're biased. The fact that they're biased should not stop you from going. You have to register those complaints. The other person both of you should be in touch with is Professor Franken in the law school.
Okay.
She's making a compilation, which we will be sending to Palestine people.
Okay. She
will be sending it to Palestine. I have nothing to do with it. Such that we have a record better than the one that the university undoubtedly will shoddily keep if it keeps a record at all on the other side.
Very true. Okay.
They have established an anti-Semitism, whatever it's called, commission, and then a much lower level, Islamophobia. The problem is not Islamophobia. The problem is anti-Palestinian hatred.
Yeah.
And they won't name it because the word Palestine is something they're obviously allergic to. We call ourselves what do we call it? Faculty for Justice in Palestine. This announcement of this task force or whatever it's called yesterday was yet another blow. I mean, they picked bigots and fanatics and right-wingers and extremists and people who have attacked students to be in an anti-Semitism task force. It's a scandal, and you can't say anything. The problem is that anti-Semitism is a sacred topic. And if you cover your partisanship for Israel under the cloak of anti-Semitism, you can get away with a lot. And I think that's exactly what we should be saying. I mean, students should be protesting. It's not going to happen until next term, unfortunately.
Yeah, you think
because
so?
everybody's got exams and going home.
Who is that guy?
Which guy?
I think you have to let us solve the issues of campus anti-Semitism by ourselves.
Yeah, how's that going for you?
I just want to say I've seen actual anti-Semitism on this campus, and none of it has come from people whose names are on that truck.
Well, if you can get us their names, they'll be on the truck tomorrow.
I will not.
The guy who was with the microphone.
Some rich guy with money to put on a truck. But there's somebody doing the same thing at Penn, and somebody doing the same thing at Harvard. I don't know if it's the same person. Well, there's nothing you can do on a public street. That's the problem. Nothing you can do on a public street. They can make them move along if they're illegally parked. That's about it. You can call the cops on them if they're illegally parked.
I mean, all of us use a university account.
Right, exactly.
Which, by the way, are not secure. I mean,
really?
They are listening into a personal Gmail account and not university servers.
They're really looking into that?
Well, we don't know, but
that's true.
I mean, they've instituted a police state, and police states usually surveil. I would imagine that they would be surveilling people in SJP. We know that they found stuff out, maybe through human spies and maybe through other methods. But, no.
What is their end game in that? I just don't understand what they could benefit from that.
When you have no arguments, you have to shut down the other side's ability to.
Yeah.
When you have a shift in opinion that's unfavorable, and you can't counter it, which they haven't been able to do over the past 20 years. There's been a shift in opinion. When I got here in 2003, campus opinion was divided, but much more favorable to Israel than it is today. And people who were in favor of divestment, for example, faculty and students were a minority. And that changed in the past 15 years. And the BDS resolution passed Barnard and Harvard and Columbia with overwhelming majorities.
Right.
And that's a shift. And they can't do anything about that. And out of frustration, they use power. to shut down speech that they don't like. And that's not faculty or students. They don't have power. We don't have any power. We have, nor us nor the pro-Israel faculty have power. But the people who own this university, the trustees who are legally responsible, and the donors have power. And they're exercising that power at all of the universities. Politicians in state universities, donors of private universities, boards of trustees, who are either politically appointed, like in Florida, or rich people who are big donors or have access to other people who are donors. And that group is made up of older people who have a set view of Palestine and Israel, and rich people.
But it's just so, I feel like at this point, like you said, there's been a shift in terms of the, support, and it just baffles me that it still hasn't come to the point that these people who are Zionists are here on campus, who are,
Well, there's lots of young people who are very supportive of Israel. Why are you surprised? People who go to Jewish day schools, people who are religiously observant and go regularly to synagogue and have, they have classes on Saturdays or whatever. They're indoctrinated. And a lot of them liberate themselves from that indoctrination. So you have a huge number of Jewish students who are in JVP or SJP, or generally supportive of Palestinian rights, but you have a very large number who are not.
Yeah.
That's to be expected.
That's never going to change?
No, it will change. As these people get older, they will replace the old folks for whom the Holocaust and Israel's founding are these events that are central to their identity. It didn't used to be that way. The American Jewish community didn't have that feeling for Israel 100 years ago or 80 years ago. Until really the Holocaust, until Hitler came to power. It gave Zionism a new impetus. American Jewish institutions only during World War II shifted over to support Zionism. Most of them were either anti-Zionist or non-Zionist. And that's really a relatively recent, in terms of the history of Zionism, a relatively recent development. And that's true of most Jewish communities, not just the United States. Most English Jews were opposed to Zionism. The only Jewish member of the British cabinet opposed the Balfour Declaration. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah, it's unfortunately.
And, it's not just we're living in New York City, which is the largest Jewish city in the world. It's the place where Zionism, got a huge lift with the Biltmore program in 1942. It's a city where there are very politicized elements of the Jewish community, very supportive of Israel. You go out into the south and the west of this country, and you have people who are even more fanatical about Israel, who are evangelicals. And so here we see kind of Jewish community is the main supporter of Israel. Well, parts of it, certainly the institutional framework of it, and the politicians who pander to and are financed by AIPAC and so on. But you go out to Mississippi or Texas or anywhere in the South and the West, and the support there is from, in the Midwest, the support there is from evangelicals. And they're, if anything, even more committed to Israel and even less knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Here people will have maybe gone there for their bar mitzvah or gone there on birthright or have family there. There's actually physical human connection, and so they feel for Israel in ways, including people who are conflicted or who are pro-Palestinian. They still have a connection to Israel, a personal connection to Israel. I have many students like that. They're anti-Zionist or they're non-Zionist or they're critical of Israel, and they're very sympathetic to Palestinians, but they have family there. Evangelicals, it's a religious thing. I don't know what your religion is. It doesn't matter, but there is a strand of evangelical Christianity that really believes that the coming of the Messiah can only happen with the return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel. After which there will be rapture, and whoever doesn't accept Christ will be burned in hell, including the Jews. But that's their belief, and it's a very strongly held belief. Yeah. And it's been around for more than 150 years. It started in England and spread to here as a specific reading of the.
That's gonna be like that for a while.
St. John the Divine, the last book of the New Testament. And that's gonna be an issue much longer than this division among the Jewish community. I think that's gonna shift things in a better direction over time as older people give way to younger people. I know many families that are divided on a generational basis. The Jewish family is divided on a generational basis.
Right.
It'll take a little time. You gotta have some patience. It's tough.
It's tough.
And I've been at this for a very long time. It looks very good to me in the sense that I've seen a shift that I never expected.
Okay.
It's very bad because that has caused a backlash, which is what we are all feeling now. And in that moment of backlash, you just feel despair because you read the papers and you watch the politicians and you see what's happening on campus and you see all this stuff coming down. But that's mainly because things are changing in a positive direction.
Yeah.
They're so
There you go.
hysterical.
Okay.
They're sort of, like, what's the word? Little boy putting his finger in the dike,
Right.
trying to make the sea go back, whatever. I think that change is slowly coming. I mean, look at things like these unions. It has not been reported in the mainstream media, but three of the biggest unions in the United States are calling for a ceasefire. The United Auto Workers, the Nurses Union, and the Postal Workers Union, which represent, if you think about it, a lot of ordinary working class, diverse
Yes.
Americans all over the country. Well, those guys have taken a position against, they're all Democratic, they're aligned with the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken a position against the president. And that means that their base has, seen things that the Israel lobby doesn't want them to see. And that's a sign of the times. Black pastors put a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for a ceasefire 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, when Israel and the Biden administration were, and still are dead set against it. Again, that's a sign of the times.
Mm.
You listen to the New York Times and you think all right-thinking people are against anti-Semitism and any support for the Palestinians is blah, 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 genocidal, blah, blah, blah. So, there's a lot of change happening